Okay, so we've done parts F, G, and H from number 8. We're also going to do parts I and J. I'm going to go to a new page, and we'll start with 8I. Remember, for number 8, it says factor each of the following polynomials as completely as possible. So for part I, we have 36x to the 10th minus 1. Well, this first term can be written as a square, and the last term can be written as a square. So that would mean we have the difference of two squares. How do we write 36x to the 10th as a square? Well, I'm going to write the parentheses with the square. What do we have to square to get 36? That would be 6. What do we have to square to get x to the 10th? That would be x to the 5th, because 5 times 2 is 10. And when we raise a power to a power, we multiply the exponents. And then 1 is written as a square as simply 1 squared, because 1 squared is 1. So here we have the difference of two squares. Remember, when we have the difference of two squares, what we do is we take the first number that's squared, 6x to the 5th, and add it to the second number that's squared. And then we take the first number that's squared, and we subtract the second number that's squared. So to factor out 36x to the 10th minus 1, we write each of the numbers as a square. 36x to the 10th is the quantity 6x to the 5th squared, and 1 is 1 squared. So 6x to the 5th plus 1 times 6x to the 5th minus 1 is how we write that in factored form. So now we're going to do just one more part from number 8, part J, which is 2x to the 6th minus 32. Well, neither 2 nor 32 is a square. However, they do have a common factor, so we can factor out 2. 2 times what is x to the 6th? Well, that would be x to the 6th. 2 times what is negative 32? That would be negative 16. Now, both of the terms that we have in the parentheses can be written as squares. So I'm going to write, what do we have to square to get x to the 6th? That would be x cubed. So this is x cubed squared, because 2 times 3 is 6. What do we have to square to get 16? That would be 4 squared. And we're taking the difference of these two squares. Remember, when we take the difference of two squares, we take the first term plus the second term and multiply it by the first term minus the second term. So we've got to remember our 2. Our first term is x cubed, and then we're going to add 4. And then we take x cubed minus 4. And neither one of the expressions in the parentheses can be factored any further, because x cubed cannot be written as a square. So 2x to the 6th minus 32 can be factored as 2 times x cubed plus 4 times x cubed minus 4. Okay, so that was number 8, which is just like number 14 that I assigned as homework. So now we're going to move on to the last problem, which is number 9. Number 9 says that, basically you're given two expressions that are a difference of two squares, and you need to factor it out. So the example that's given for this is, what if you have 4x squared minus x plus 1 squared? Well, this is a square and this is a square. How can we write 4x squared as a square? That would be 2x quantity squared minus x plus 1 quantity squared. Now we can factor that. We take our first term, which is 2x, and we add our second term, which is x plus 1. Then we're going to multiply that by the difference of these two terms, 2x minus, and this is where it's very important to write your parentheses, x plus 1. We're subtracting all of x plus 1. We're not just subtracting the x. So in this left parentheses, we have 2x and x that can be combined to make 3x plus 1. In the right parentheses, we need to distribute this negative. So we have 2x minus x minus 1, because negative times x is negative x. Negative times a positive 1 is a negative 1. Now we can combine these two terms because we have 2x minus x. So we get 3x plus 1 times x minus 1. And this is a problem that they actually work out for you. So now let's do a couple of the parts from number 9. So from number 9, let's look at part B. Part B is 4x plus 7 squared minus 36. Well, obviously the term on the left is already written as a square, so we just need to write the term on the right as a square. So we have 4x plus 7 squared minus 36 can be written as a square. What do we have to square to get 36? That would be a 6. So now we need to write the sum of these terms multiplied by the difference of these terms. So we're going to start with our first term, 4x plus 7, and we're going to add our second term, which is 6. Then we're going to write down our first term again, 4x plus 7, and we're going to subtract our second term, which is 6. Now we need to combine like terms. In this first parentheses, we have 7 plus 6, so that can be written as 4x plus 13. In the second parentheses, we have 7 minus 6, so that can be written as 4x plus 1. So that is how we would factor out 4x plus 7 quantity squared minus 36. So let's get a new page and work on number 9, part C. Number 9, part C is 25 minus 1 minus x squared. Okay, the second term is already written as a square, but the first one is not. What do we have to square to get 25? That would be 5. 5 squared is 25 minus 1 minus x squared. So you can see here that we have the difference of two squares. When we have the difference of two squares, we're going to write down our first term, which is a 5, and then add our second term, which is 1 minus x. Then we're going to write down our first term again, and we're going to subtract our second term. Be careful, because if your second term is something in parentheses, you need to keep those parentheses. Okay, so in this first parentheses, we can combine like terms. 5 plus 1 is 6, so we have 6 minus x. In this second parentheses, we need to distribute this negative across. So we have 5, negative times a positive 1 is negative 1. Negative times a negative x is a positive x. So now we can combine these like terms. We have 6 minus x, and then 5 minus 1 is 4, so we have 4 plus x. And that is all that we need to do for this problem. This was number 9, which is just like number 15 in the homework. Be very careful when the term that you are subtracting has more than one term. Then you have to make sure to put that in parentheses and distribute the negative across it. So that's all.